Jaguars offseason preview. Let's get it. Now, this video is sponsored by BetUS. Guys, Super Bowl 58 is coming up next weekend, and if you guys want some insight, info, and picks from award-winning sports bettors before the big game, go to the NFL Picks and Predictions YouTube channel. I have that linked right down below. It is a channel brought to you by BetUS, and there's going to be a lot of good coverage over there. And on this channel very soon, I'll be doing my own picks and predictions and some fun sports betting props, kind of like the coin toss or Gatorade color or will a streaker run out on the field. I mean, there's all kinds of different things to do. Put $1 on each of them, and it's a lot of fun to do on Super Bowl Sunday. So I'll be giving you guys my picks. And if you guys want to get in on the action, I have a 125% deposit bonus down below. Put down $100. BetUS is going to put $225 in your account. So there's no better time to do it than for the Super Bowl. And just remember, 24/7 customer service, quick payouts within 24 hours. Thank you to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Now let's get into this offseason preview. So in this video, I'm not going to go into different players to really target, whether it be free agency or draft. What I want to do is kind of give you guys a breakdown of how the roster looks right now, what free agents are on it, or what players are on expiring contracts, who are some guys the Jaguars could potentially cut to save some money on the cap and be able to go out and attack other positions, and also just different positions to target in the offseason after we make these different roster moves. So I'm going to do everything over here on Spot Track. So let me share my screen with you guys. And the first screen I want to pull up is the Jaguars 2024 free agents. So the big one on here, the big two, I guess I should say, are Josh Allen and Calvin Ridley. I'm not going to get too much into that one just because yesterday or 2 days ago I made a video really detailing the Josh Allen situation, and a lot of it ties into Calvin Ridley because the whole franchise tag thing. Josh Allen will most likely get the franchise tag. So does that mean that they signed Calvin Ridley to a big deal? If they sign him to a multi-year deal, you're giving up a second-round pick instead of a third-round pick, so there's a lot of risk there. But if you guys want to get a better breakdown, go to my most recent video. I'll have a card up above me. So other than that, like Jamal Agnew could be a guy that the Jaguars do let walk just because this is when it comes to different players that the Jaguars might need to cut, there is actually a very, very clear replacement for Jamal Agnew as opposed to other guys that there are going to be some tough decisions on that we'll talk about later. With drafting Parker Washington, you're going to get younger and cheaper at the position. And Parker Washington had plenty of time last year to be able to kind of dive into the role. And let's be real, I mean, when you look at it, Jamal Agnew does have injury history. He's finished 2 different years. I think he finished last year on the IR, and I know the first year on the Jaguars he did, and I think he was in and out of the lineup in his second year. So at the end of the day, I think Jamal Agnew only had like 1 kick return and 1 punt return. He had some good returns overall that really sparked things, and I don't know what his market is going to be, but I imagine they try to save some money and don't bring him back. DeJuan Smoot and K'Lavon Chaisson, look, both of these guys play the same position, but bad years from both of them. I mean, K'Lavon Chaisson has always been bad, although he did double his sack total this year over his career high. He went from 1 sack in each of his first 3 seasons to 2 sacks in 2023. So shout out to him, but he's a player that I don't want to see back. I mean, he has no impact when he's out on the field. He is just an overall disappointing player. So not a guy that I want anything to do with. DeJuan Smoot, that's tough, man. I feel for him. He had a really good 2022 season, and then the Achilles tear happened, and he just never came back the same. He only had 1 sack last year. No impact player, unfortunately, after having a pretty good year before. So, these are 2 guys that maybe bring DeJuan Smoot back. Don't bring K'Lavon Chaisson back, but we definitely need to get better. Our third edge rusher needs to become a lot better. Death taxes and Trey Herndon and Tyler Shatley signing 1-year deals with the Jaguars. I mean, these are cheap guys they might want to bring back just for depth, but, with Ryan Nielsen's defense, I don't imagine Trey Herndon will be a starting nickel cornerback, although we did say that last year he had a pretty decent year, so I imagine maybe they bring him back for depth but we'll see. Brandon McManus is a very, very weird case because he started off the season on fire, but man, at the end of the year, he became a liability for the Jaguars, just missing these kicks that we cut Riley Patterson for this guy to make. So I don't know if they keep him, but I don't know. Do some evaluations, figure out what happened with him down the stretch, but he needs to be better. Ezra Cleveland, Jaguars traded for him at the trade deadline. He actually, I heard, wants to play tackle. That was the word on the street when they played for him, that when he goes into free agency, he wants to play tackle. So I don't know what his market's going to be there. I mean, do we bring him back? I mean, you can never have enough offensive line depth. So I would be about it, but we'll just have to see. And the rest of these guys are just, don't really move the needle at all. So those are guys on expiring contracts. At the end of the day, if you bring back anybody, you put 100% of your focus on making sure Josh Allen will be back, even though it will be on a franchise tag probably, but bring a new deal with him, lock him up on the Jaguars, and really be that huge. I mean, I can't remember the last time we re-signed a draft pick to a lot of money. You know what I mean? Cam Robinson, that's not a lot of money. Miles Jack wasn't a lot of money. So, obviously DeJuan Smoot hasn't been. So, yeah, we'll have to look at that. All right, so next up, why don't we go and cut some players, okay? Let's figure out how much money we can save. And by the way, I forgot to pull this up, but I actually looked at where the Jaguars rank amongst teams this year when it comes to available salary cap. And the Jaguars, if this season, I guess free agency began today, the Jaguars have the 19th most cap space. So not bad. I mean, a lot of people think we're super cash strapped, but we're really not. I mean, we have plenty of opportunity to be able to make some moves, especially since we do have a quarterback on his rookie contract. Unfortunately, it feels like we wasted it. While teams like the Chiefs can really take advantage of it. But yeah, the Jaguars are 19th, and we can easily move up with some roster moves. But it's not like we're down here like the Saints, Bills, or Dolphins where we're like way off. So you got to remember, last year the Jaguars didn't do anything in free agency. Okay, and then now we're kind of, I guess, reaping the benefits of the lack of moves, even though last year there was no benefit about it. So with all that said, the Jaguars will be able to, make some moves. So let's go ahead and explore. Like I said, let's cut some players. How about that? So we'll manage roster. It's sorted by some of the highest cap hits. I mean, Christian Kirk, definitely keeping him. We saw what the offense does without him. He is the highest paid player, it looks like right now. If you did cut him, look, you're not even saving that much money. You're saving $3 million. Not great. Brandon Sheriff is a guy that he's getting older. His play is definitely kind of sinking a little bit. He's not at his best. And look, if you cut him, you would be saving $9 million. This is something that I'd be very tempted to do, especially when you look at the interior of the offensive line. You have three needs right now. You have three needs in the interior, and you're probably pretty decent at both tackle spots, at least for 2024, even though it would be nice to get a little bit. Your left tackle situation, big question mark. I mean, we'll see with Cam Robinson. Also, Walker Little, 1 year left on his deal. And then Anton Harrison, maybe he plays left tackle, but he had a good year. But, maybe cutting Brandon Sheriff will allow you to, divvy up some money kind of in those spots. Foye Oluokun, look, you remember when I said earlier that, Jamal Agnew, you were able to draft and replace. You had Parker Washington to fill that role. Ideally, this year, you would cut Foye Oluokun. You'd save $7.2 million. But guess what? Trent Baalke drafted all these linebackers, all these freaking linebackers, and none of them can fill his shoes. Devin Lloyd's a starter at weak side linebacker, but you drafted Chad Moon in the third round. I don't think anybody's comfortable with him filling his shoes. You drafted Ventrell Miller in the fourth round, who missed his entire rookie year with an injury. So with that said, you're keeping Foye Oluokun, and honestly, he plays at a high level, and he's maybe toward the end of the year he wasn't that great, but who on the defense was great at the end of the year, besides maybe Josh Allen? So we're keeping Foye Oluokun. And Cam Robinson, I'd hate to say this, but you're cutting him and you're saving $16 million. And look, I know last year the offense was a lot better with him in there, but we don't want to judge players by, okay, is he the second best offensive lineman on the Jaguars, or how good is he in the grand scheme of the NFL? And in the grand scheme of the NFL, he's probably an average player. I love his attitude. I love his nastiness. He loves the Jaguars, but I'm not going to pay a guy that's average and a guy that can't stay healthy. Look, he's always hurt. He's in and out of the lineup. Last season when he came back from his 4-game suspension, so last year he was suspended and injured, and he came back and, he wasn't, when he came back, Walker Little was the best left tackle for the Jaguars last year. And then he got hurt the first game. Cam Robinson came back, and then Walker Little never really came back okay. And, Cam Robinson, I just don't think that, maybe you restructure him. But, yeah, the Jaguars' offensive line, the only guy on the Jaguars' offensive line that's safe is Anton Harrison. So a full thing is needed, but I think that the Jaguars need to cut him and use that money, because especially you have Walker Little. You know what I mean? He can be a very formidable left tackle or tackle in general, and then you can allocate that money to elsewhere. You don't need 2 starting caliber. You don't need to be paying one left tackle a lot of money and then have another guy that might even be better than him on the bench. We'll see. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit on that. So next up is Foley Fatukasi. That one is an easy cut. You're saving $3.5 million. Not a lot of really what's the word, analysis on that one, because he just isn't that good. Just wasn't that good. Rayshawn Jenkins, I'm getting rid of him. His play is kind of tailing off. $5.1 million that you're saving. So, Antonio Johnson might be able to fill the role. You have Andre Cisco going into the last year of his deal. So that's one that I'm getting rid of. We got to think about what we do at wide receiver. I imagine the Jaguars finally try to, they're going to get somebody in free agency, maybe. We'll see what they do in Calvin Ridley. But you got to start going younger at the position. And Zay Jones, it was a weird year. He was injured. He, had the weird arrest thing happen, which I think that was more of baby mama drama than anything. But with Zay Jones, if you cut him, you're saving $4.4 million. You might just do that, or you maybe restructure. I don't know what kind of, Zay Jones is 29 years old. I don't know what kind of market a guy like him is going to have, so I'm getting rid of him. And Darius Williams, I'm keeping him. He played really good for us. If you cut him, oh my gosh, you're saving $10 million if you cut him. So I try to restructure that one. I'm not taking a $10 million cap hit on him. But, the Jaguars at cornerback right now, what do? You have Tyson Campbell going to the last year of his rookie deal. You don't really have, Monteric Brown was kind of decent, but he was, definitely not a high-level player. I don't know. One thing you're noticing from the Jaguars' defensive, really all over the place. You cut Cam Robinson, you have a left tackle going into his last year of his rookie deal. With safety, you have Rayshawn Jenkins, who would probably get cut, and then you have Andre Cisco going to the last year of his rookie deal. Same thing with Tyson Campbell. It's a weird roster right now. So, we need some good things out of that. So, yeah, I'm keeping Darius Williams, but I'm figuring out a way to restructure that one. And then outside of that, Devon Hamilton, yeah, you're keeping Devon Hamilton. You're losing $11 million if you cut him, but he needs to get back in whatever football shape we consider that. And then outside of that, you just got some low impact bubble guys. So yeah, the 5 guys I'd be cutting: Brandon Sheriff, Cam Robinson, Foley Fatukasi, Rayshawn Jenkins, and Zay Jones. And maybe find some restructures in there. I imagine they do restructure. They restructure a lot every year to try to save on cap a little bit. So yeah, that's what we're doing there. And then overall, when you look at everything, what becomes the biggest needs now after making these moves are wide receiver, interior offensive line, defensive backs, interior defensive line, and you got to find another edge. And the thing about this is we have to figure out a way to solidify the interior of the offensive line and defensive line. Look, we couldn't run the ball. Interior pass rushers were in Trevor Lawrence's lap every time he dropped back. Interior defensive line, we were getting gashed in the run, which is actually pretty rare for us. And the Jaguars, I think over our years, we've actually usually been pretty good at stopping the run. Not so much at the end of last season. So find a way to solidify the trenches, and then you work on everything else. And, with edge rusher, we saw guys go very cheap last year. The Bills rented Leonard Floyd for a year. He got like 10 sacks. The Ravens rented Jadeveon Clowney. He got 9.5 sacks. You don't have to do a heavy investment on edge, especially if you're going to give Josh Allen a huge deal. Trayvon Walker still has a few years left on his rookie deal. You can just rent a guy for a year, maybe draft and develop. We'll see what the Yasir Abdullah does after kind of having a redshirt season. We'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, the Jaguars in NFL draft, they have the first pick or they have number 17 pick in the first round, and then they're either going to have a second or third round pick from the Calvin Ridley thing. I'm going to say we don't re-sign Calvin Ridley and we keep the second round pick, and then we're going to get a third round comp pick for Jawan Taylor. And one thing you're starting to see is that, look, the Jaguars are we're in a weird spot right now because the last 2 years the Jaguars really haven't drafted well. Okay, and we're not having these spectacular players being able to replace some of these guys that we need to cut to save some money. Okay, no excuses this year. You got to have a good draft. You got to be able to bring guys in here and further develop this team. And I think if you have any optimism, I do believe in Doug Peterson. I think that really the problems with the organization is Shad Khan and Trent Baalke. But I do like Doug Peterson. I do like Trevor Lawrence. So I think if he can just solidify this roster a little bit and kind of allow Doug Peterson to drive this thing, I think we'll be all right. So we'll see. We'll see. Let me know what you guys think about it all. And shout out to BetUS for sponsoring this video. Please drop a like for me on your way out, and go Jags.